Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is part 3 of our 3-part series. The first one, we talked about the lies that we've been told when it comes to fat loss. The second one was all about nutrition for fat loss. And this third one is going to be all about fitness and exercise for fat loss. If you want to go and you haven't watched part 1 or part 2, I'll link those in the description so you can go back and watch those. If you're new to the channel, my name's Eddie. I lost over 125 pounds. I've kept that weight off now for over 22 years. So I lost that weight back in 2002. I was 19 years old. I'm in my early 40s now. I feel like I'm in the best shape of my life. It's always a constant thing and a constant, what do I need to do next? How can I optimize? How can I do this? How can I do that better? How can I get stronger? How can I, tweak my nutrition? I'm always learning. And so this channel is really applying all of the stuff that I've tried out myself and all my clients and giving it to you so that you can hopefully implement this stuff. I do coaching. If you're interested in that, there's a link in the description. We can have a call and we can chat about that. The first thing I want you guys to realize is that muscle is your longevity organ. Muscle is your insurance policy. And so I'm sorry if you hear my dog. She's wanting attention and she's crying. Muscle is your insurance policy. And what I mean by that is, as we get older, and most of the people that I work with are 35 and older, most of the people that I work with, they're losing muscle and they don't even know it, right? So we have to have a conversation about after a certain age, you're losing muscle, power, and strength. And the only way that you can keep that and fight against that is by strength training, is by building muscle. So muscle is like a longevity organ. There's more studies coming out now to kind of back this up. A lot of the studies back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s and so forth, old studies, were all about aerobics and how to make your heart healthier. And when you think about exercise, you think about cardio. And so when you ask someone today in 2025, how do you lose weight? Most people will say, yeah, you got to do cardio. And while they're not wrong, because cardio does have its place, I feel like cardio is the way to get a quick, bang for your buck, because you do burn more calories doing cardio. However, your strength training and you building muscle is kind of give you that long-term benefit that we're really looking for, that healthy metabolism so you can be metabolically healthy. And when you lose the weight, you won't easily gain it back like most people do, because most people lose the weight, but then they gain it back at the end. So I want to talk about 3 main things in this video. The first thing I want to talk about, and I've got some notes here that I took for you guys. The first thing I want to talk about is, why I think that strength training is so important. I would even put it maybe over cardio, even though you got to combine both. But why strength training is so important. We got a little bit into that right now, but I'll get into more details on that. The second part I want to do is I want to actually walk you guys through the very high levels of my LeanOS program, the framework that I use with clients so that they can implement something that works, that gets them strong, that gets them to lose fat, and that also fits into their life so they're not, 2 hours a day in the gym, 6-7 days a week. And then the last part is establishing yourself with real world flexibility and also with the right mindset when it comes to fitness, because you have to be able to have the right mindset going into it so that you can kind of sustain it for the long term. If you don't know this because you're not haven't been to the channel or you're new to the channel, I am the anti-challenge guy. I don't like challenges. Everything that I do is long-term, sustainable. Everything that we talk about on this channel is going to be for you to do it for the rest of your life. So once you lose weight, you'll keep it off because you're doing something that you can maintain and sustain for the rest of your life. I don't like challenges. There's other reasons why people do challenges, and that's fine if you want some kind of a mental boost, or if you want, to challenge yourself to do something that you think you can't do. I've done that, right? I ran marathons because of that. I didn't think I can do it, and then I ended up, running 5 full marathons. That was cool. But when it comes to fat loss, I'm not a big fan of challenges because people do them and then they go right back to who they were before and what they were before. And then they can't sustain the weight loss and they end up gaining that weight back. Let's get into the first part, which is why strength training is so important. If you're a male over 35, you need to be strength training. You need to be lifting some heavy stuff. And the reason why I say that is because it's going to help your metabolism, first of all, overall. A healthy metabolism is a strong metabolism. And what I mean by that is when you strength train, you get stronger. You don't lose muscle, you don't lose power, you don't lose strength, because you're building those 3 components of your body, of your health, and of your fitness. And so by getting stronger, you're becoming more metabolically healthy. In addition to that, for those of you who don't want to do a low-carb diet and you want to just live a healthy, normal lifestyle, and you are going to have some carbs here and there, some healthy sources of carbs, one of the nice things is when you build muscle, that's almost like an extra repository for your body to kind of store glucose. And so you're protecting yourself against insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes and all of these different metabolic diseases, because by having muscle, your body has a whole other place where it can store glucose and use it when it needs it. So you're just going to become more metabolically healthy. In addition to that, as we get older, you're going to want to move well and you're not going to want to be in pain. And so if you know someone who's in their 40s or 50s or 60s and maybe they have knee pain or maybe they have back pain, it's because they probably didn't strengthen certain areas in their body. And so as they grow older, you become weak in those areas and then you end up having pain and you end up not being able to move around like you want to do. So people end up working and sacrificing health, and all of a sudden just to retire at 65. And then when you're 65, maybe you have a lot of money and maybe you can go travel or you can go do the activities you want, but then you don't have your health. So you're in pain, you can't go hiking, you can't go walking, or you can't do the things that you want to do because you don't have the health. And then you try to buy back your health. And that's such a common thing that we see with people growing older. So that's why I say muscle is your insurance policy. Strength train. We'll get into some details on what you need to be doing in terms of strength training in the next section. The other thing I want to talk about is that muscle gives your body the right shape. So when people say, I want to feel toned and lean, the reason why they're saying toned and lean is because they want that tight body, right? Well, guess what? Muscle takes up less space than fat on your body. So you're going to be more dense and you're going to be tighter. So if you think about muscle is more dense. It takes up less space. It weighs a little more. So your weight on the scale might not go down as much as you think because you're probably building muscle and losing fat. But that's a good thing because your waist is going to shrink in and all your clothes is going to fit better and you're going to look better. You're going to get that toned, lean physique that everybody wants. What they don't realize is that they try to get that toned and lean physique by doing so much cardio, by doing a Stairmaster, by doing all this stuff. And it's not that cardio is bad. It's just that you're not going to build muscle. And so what you're doing with cardio is maybe you're losing weight, but a lot of that weight is coming off from muscle as well. So you're losing muscle and fat. You're not going to be lean. You're going to be skinny, maybe, but you're not going to have that lean, tight look that people want, that toned look. The other thing is lifting preserves lean mass during a deficit. So when you're losing weight, you have to be in a calorie deficit. And the best way to preserve lean mass is two ways. Number one, strength train. And number two, eat enough protein because that's your building block to build muscle. So you want to make sure that you're strength training because you're going to protect yourself. Because you're already in a calorie deficit, you're going to be eating less food in order to lose fat and lose weight. You need to make sure that more of that is coming from protein, and you need to make sure you're strength training so you can, preserve that lean mass. So that, let's say you lose 10 pounds, maybe 7 or 8 of that was from fat, and maybe only 1 or 2 of that was from muscle. And that's a really good goal to aim for. You don't want to have more than 25% of your weight loss coming from muscle, because then that means you're not eating enough protein or you're not strength training hard enough. And then the other thing is you can do it with less time and you have more impact. So what I mean by that is you don't have to spend an hour on a cardio machine to get lean and toned. What you can do is you can have a quick 20 to 30 to 40 minute strength training session, and you're going to get all of the benefits that I just discussed, and you're going to do it in less time. You can even do a 15 to 20 minute workout. Sometimes I give my clients a workout that they can do in a hotel if they're traveling, because they travel a lot and they're busy and they don't have the time. And you can do a 15 to 20 minute workout, even body weight workouts or bands or anything. There's a lot of different ways that you can do it. So you can do it anywhere. You don't need to necessarily have a treadmill or a Stairmaster or walking outside. You can do it inside. If the weather's bad and it's raining, you can still do it inside. You don't need a home gym. Again, you can do it with bands. You can do it with chairs and other stuff. You can do body weight stuff that really, really helps you build muscle. Eventually, you want to add more resistance and you want to get to some weights. But to begin with, it's a great place to start with things like body weight and stuff like that. So you can get more bang for your buck and more impact in less time. In terms of my LeanOS, and OS stands for operating system. So my system is called the Lean operating system because it's an operating system you can implement just like there's software running in your body right now that tells you that you should eat this and that, and you should work out here and do this cardio. The Lean operating system is an operating system that's going to allow you to burn fat as efficiently as possible. If you're a male, 35 or over, and you want to be efficient with your workouts, but you also want to be effective and lose fat. So the first thing I'll do is, what I recommend is 3 full body workouts a week. 2 is good. 1 is great if you're just starting out. Now, Again, 3 is ideal. That's what I do today. I do 3 full body workouts. Today I didn't want to work out, but I knew that it was a one-time, full body workout that I'm going to do today, and it's going to be about maybe 30 to 40 minutes. It's not going to be super long. And so I did it anyway, right? So it's easier to have that discipline when you know you're not going to be in the gym for 2 hours, or you're not going to have to, hop on a treadmill for an hour and just, be there walking and get bored. Like you're moving, you're lifting weights, and you're in and out in 30 to 40 minutes, hopefully. The other reason why I like full body workouts is because it's not that you can't do splits. You can do like a typical bro split. You can do upper, lower, and legs or whatever. That's fine. Why I like full body workouts is because if I miss, for example, I'm filming this on a Thursday. If I miss Thursday, then guess what? I can just move my workout to Friday because it's full body. If I was doing an upper or a lower and I missed an upper day, then maybe I have a lower day the next day. Like I have to kind of shift it around in a way where it may kind of mess with my schedule. When I'm doing full body, I'm doing full body. I'm hitting all those main muscle groups, which we'll talk about in a second. And I'm doing that 2 or 3 times a week. So if I miss a day, I just push it back one day and I'm good, right? And everything just gets shifted very easily throughout my week. So that's another reason why I like full body workouts. 1 is good if you're not doing anything. Start small, get consistent with 1, and then add the second, and then add the third. 2 is pretty damn good, and then 3 is ideal. If you can get 3 full body workouts, as long as you're doing the right movements with the right intensity, which I'll talk about in a second, then you should be good. The next thing I'll talk about is keep workouts to 45 to 60 minutes. If you're taking longer than an hour to do your workout, you're probably messing around, you're on your phone, you're doing too many exercises that you don't need to be doing. There's no reason to go longer than about 45 to 60 minutes unless you're just really distracted. So make sure that you go in, you get it in a good, solid workout, short amount of time, big impact, and then get out. If you have the extra time and you like going to the gym and you like spending time and hanging out or whatever, that's great. But most of the people that I talk to and that I work with as clients, they don't have the time. And so one of the biggest deterrents of them even getting a workout in is I don't have time. So I have to make it so that they feel confident that they can get in and get out quickly and have good impact and see results eventually, right? With not, 2 hours, 3 hours in the gym, 5 or 6 days a week. So again, 3 full body workouts, 45 to 60 minutes. And then the other thing we're going to talk about is you want to focus on 3 to 6 key lifts. And you want to mostly focus on compound movements. And what I mean by compound movements is think about a barbell squat, or think about, a chest press, right? When you do a chest press, you're using your chest predominantly, but you're also using your triceps as a secondary muscle when you're pressing, right? When you're doing a pull-up or when you're doing a lat pull-down, you're using your back lat muscles predominantly, but you're also using your biceps. So all of a sudden I'm getting more bang for my buck because I'm using these compound movements that are attacking multiple muscles at the same time, right? If I do a squat is working out my whole entire lower body. And if you're doing it correctly and with the right intensity, you're also having to really, squeeze your core and keep your core tight so that you can make sure that your body and your spine is stable as you're going down and carrying that weight and pressing it back up. So think about compound movements, things like squats, things like presses, like chest press, whether it's incline or regular flat. Think about rows. If you can do pull-ups, I think pull-ups are one of my favorite exercises. They attack your back, they attack your biceps, and you want that V look, and you want that really masculine, lean physique that's a little bigger up top here and then kind of leans out. That V shape. Do pull-ups. Pull-ups are incredible, and they're going to make you stronger on all of your bicep workouts as well because you're attacking that bicep secondarily. And then hinges, things like deadlifts. So whether it's a Romanian deadlift or whether it's a standard, traditional deadlift, make sure that you're hitting the back of the body and those hamstrings. With the squats, you're getting a lot of quads, and especially if you're doing like a goblet squat or a squat where you're carrying the weight up front, you're going to get more of the quads up front. When you do a hinge and when you do your deadlifts, you're going to get the back, you're going to get the glutes, and then you're also going to get your hamstrings if you're doing especially a Romanian deadlift, right? Where the focus is really on the hamstrings. So, focus on those big compound movements. And then the last part about our LeanOS framework that I focus on is make sure that you're focusing on progressive overload, not so much variety. The whole, let me trick my muscles by introducing new movements here and there, that's all BS. You don't have to worry about introducing new movements. Just get strong at the compound movements. Get stronger and stronger. And for those of you who don't know what progressive overload means, is essentially just make sure that you increase the intensity by increasing the weight, right, that you're lifting or that you're pressing every single time. And maybe not every single time, but whenever you're able to. So I would stick to anywhere from 3 repetitions all the way to maybe like 8 to 10 at the most, maybe 12 if you like that. But if you're trying to get stronger, I keep my repetitions typically anywhere from about 5 reps to about 8 reps. I usually don't go more than 8 reps. And the reason why is because I'm focused on strength. I'm focused on getting stronger. And so the intensity, I crank it up by making sure that I have enough weight. When I do pull-ups, I have a belt and I do weighted pull-ups, and I only do about 3 or 4 or 5 at the most, sometimes, maybe 6 at the most. Once I get strong enough to do about 6 reps on a weighted pull-up, then I know that it's time to increase the weight. I'm not gonna go to 7 or 8 reps. I'm gonna just increase the weight. So I'm gonna add another 5 pounds and I'm gonna try. And then maybe when I try that new weight, I might only get 3. But that's better because I'm at a higher weight, higher intensity. So I raise the intensity by increasing the weight. You can also increase the intensity by increasing the number of repetitions. That's another way. You can increase the intensity by slowing down the movement. That's a really good one as well. There's a few different ways that you can increase the intensity. If you have access to weights, adding more weight is one of the easiest ways that you can increase the intensity. Let's get into the last portion, which is having the right mindset and having flexibility in your programming. And by programming, I mean what you're using in terms of, what are you doing for exercise? So again, I mentioned this in the beginning, but the people that I work with, they're executives, they're busy, they're usually have a family, moms, dads. And so they don't have a ton of time to work out. And so again, they want to get in and out, and they want to make sure that that workout is as impactful and as effective as possible in a short window of time. So there's this misconception that we've been marketed, time and time again, which is you have to train hard. You have to train hard. And while you do have to train hard, you don't have to stay in the gym until you're vomiting and you're throwing up and you're like, you can't anymore. Like you can train smart. And that's what I'm trying to kind of give you here in this video, is ways that you can train smart. Everything that I just talked about is ways that you can train smarter so that you're not in there longer than you need to be, so that you're not doing a bunch of exercises that you don't need to do unless you have the time and you want to do them for fun. And the most important thing at the end of the day, aside from training, is training consistently. So if you do some grand workout that you can stick to for a week or two, but you can't stick to it after 2 weeks or after a month, then you don't have the consistency portion. And the 2 most important things for fat loss and for keeping muscle and building muscle is doing the right intensity, the calories obviously, but then also the consistency, both on the nutrition side and on the fitness side. So just adhering to the plan. What's your fitness plan? What's your nutrition plan? Make sure that you understand what that plan is and doing it consistently. Most people do the right things, but they just don't do it consistently enough. And most reasons why they don't do it consistently enough is because it's some crazy challenge that no one can do consistently for the rest of their life, because it's too much, because you're going to overtrain yourself, because you're going to mess up your hormones, because you're going to end up so tired and so sore maybe if you haven't worked out in a long time that you're going to say, screw this, I don't want to do this, this hurts too much, or it takes too long, or it's too painful, or I'm not seeing results quick enough, right? You need to be consistent and you need to have a smart plan in place. The other thing is, you don't need to be perfect with your plan. You don't need to be perfect with your fitness. So many times, I talk to my clients typically on a weekly basis, and so many times there's travel, there's family in town, there's a birthday event, there's so many things that get in the way of your fitness and of your plan that you have to work out. What happens? You can't get a perfect workout in, that's okay. If you had a 40-minute workout planned and you can only do 20 minutes, do those 20 minutes. Pick out the exercises that are the most important and do those 20 minutes and really focus hard on those 20 minutes and get your biggest bang and your biggest impact for those 20 minutes. And you know what? It wasn't perfect, but you got it done. Number 1, you got it done. Number 2, you prove to yourself that you can be consistent even when life happens, even when your schedule gets busy, when all of that stuff comes in, because it's gonna happen eventually. And everybody that I work with has crazy schedules and they have client dinners at night so they can't work out, and they have to plan ahead. They have to be aware of what's gonna be, happening to their days. And even then sometimes, a wrench gets thrown in they can't work out, right? And if they can't work out, that's okay. But it doesn't have to be perfect. Progress is progress. Don't let, the old saying, don't let perfection get in the way of progress. I always preach that because your workout doesn't have to be perfect. As long as you get it done, you should feel good about yourself, and you're building on that consistency muscle. You're building not only are you getting stronger, but up here, when you work out consistently, you're building the consistency muscle. It's becoming who you are. You're changing your identity. You're becoming the kind of person that works out consistently and that does it with the right amount of impact, and not, taking a bunch of time and just, spending 2 hours in the gym messing around. In terms of cardio, what you can do is, I tell my clients, do whatever you enjoy. You like riding bike, go ride bike. You like, you like walking, you hate running, don't run, walk. Just make sure you get your right amount of steps. I usually recommend people start with 7,500 steps and then work your way up to that 10,000 number. You don't have to get to the 10,000 number. I like when people start with at least 7,500 steps. I think that's a really good place to start. The average American, I live in Miami, I live here in the US, the average American is getting, I think, less than 3,000 steps daily, which is crazy. But think about it. You wake up, you drive to work, you sit in an office in front of a computer, you drive back home, you go on the couch, you watch Netflix. Of course, people aren't getting steps. People aren't getting movement. And then on top of that, you're eating too much. So that's why you gain weight, and that's why it's hard, right? So you have to understand that there's always going to be a give and take. Being healthy is a great thing, but it requires sacrifice. Being unhealthy is not a good thing. You require less sacrifice, but you're going to sacrifice on the back end because you're not going to be healthy. You're going to be in pain. You're not going to be able to move and do the things that you want to do 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now. What you do today will impact how you feel in the future. And so make sure that you're building a good solid base of muscle today. Make sure that you're taking care of your heart by going walking, doing, whether it's, if you like running marathons or running races, if you like riding bike, if you like swimming, whatever you like, do what you like for the cardio portion. Focus on the strength training to build that long-term muscle. That's your longevity, kind of insurance plan, right? That's your long-term insurance plan. If this clicked for you, if this kind of resonated with you, you're tired of figuring it out alone, you don't really know kind of what you're doing, or you need more accountability in your life in terms of getting to your goals, losing fat, doing it in the right way, doing it in the smart way, and more importantly, doing it so that you can do it for the rest of your life, then the link's in the description. Click the link and tell me what you guys are doing in the comments. Let me know what kind of cardio is your favorite cardio, or what you hate. Let me know if you're strength training already. Are you doing a split where you're doing different muscle parts? Are you doing more of a full body thing? Which one do you like better? Again, there's no right or wrong way to do it, but I think that for flexibility's purposes and with the people that I work with that need to be flexible, the full body workouts tend to be the best bet. But again, as long as you're getting your workouts in, should be good. Do all that good stuff if you enjoyed this, like liking the video, subscribing to the channel. A few days ago, it was actually 1 year since I posted my first video. We have over 1,700 subscribers, which is crazy. I thought it would take me a lot longer to get to this point. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you if you're listening to this at this point. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time so much. I'm very, very grateful for your time. I know it's valuable. And if this was useful, share it with someone that you think could benefit from it. And I will see you on the next one. Cheers.